Hello and welcome to the Story Engine Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Story Engine Podcast. My name is Kyle Gray, and we are going to be continuing the conversation that I left off last week, which is sharing some of the amazing things that I have been creating with artificial intelligence over the last year. In the last episode, I talked about a lot of the highly tactical business things that I have been building. And while those things are very exciting, there are many other interesting and powerful applications that aren't directly related to business that I've been using AI for. So this is going to be a little bit more of a whimsical, charming episode that can show you some sides of AI that I don't think you would naturally expect to be able to use it. But I hope that this will give you some hope and some insight on how to use AI as a collaborative tool, as a partner, as something to support you on your journey and create more freedom for you. So we're going to talk about three things that I've created today. One is a Dinosaur Oracle Card deck. The second, I'm going to talk to you how I developed an AI vision board for 2025. And third, I'm going to talk to you about how I created a therapist, quote unquote. Don't any of the normal therapists out there get upset at me, but I'll show you how I created a space for AI to listen, ask questions, and allow me to process my emotions in a healthy way, or at least I think it's a relatively healthy way. We'll see how my mental health, you can stay tuned to this podcast and see how that goes in the coming years, if it really does work out or not. But for now, let's dive in to the first creation, the Dinosaur Oracle Card deck. Now, early in 2024, I met over a late lunch with a good friend of mine, Matt Link, here in Bend, Oregon. He was creating a Dinosaur Oracle Card deck. He had around 50 dinosaurs listed and had already had somebody creating these nice handmade illustrations of these dinosaurs. My role in this project was going to be bringing life to these ancient creatures by crafting meanings and messages, transforming the cards into wisdom and introspection. And this would be one of my most charming, most fun activities to do over the course of the last year. Usually on Monday evenings, Matt and I would gather to work on the deck. Sometimes we would spend a little bit of time chopping wood, cooking dinner, or having long, meaningful conversations about our lives, our creativity, or business. We had lots of profound discussions around the purpose of each of these cards and how it would relate to us in moments of our life. So it was a blend of research, reflection, and connection. And one of the things I loved about this is even though it was technically a business, it never really felt like work. And AI was a big part of that. What we started out with to create this deck was reading and researching as many different dinosaurs as possible and looking at what made each of them unique. Sometimes it would be qualities about themselves, how they lived, how they hunted, but there would also be how they influenced our history, our culture. Some dinosaurs were, when they were unburied, were thought to be dragons. Some dinosaurs we thought were covered in feathers and now are not. And some dinosaurs have really influenced how we see the world. And so we were combining all of these little unique, different archetypes into something that each dinosaur would have a unique message to share. So we started out with a template of a single paragraph description of what the dinosaur was, how it lived, a paragraph about its message or meaning or kind of hidden theme within it, and then a reflection question that you could use to take this meaning and apply it to your own life. And so once we had that formula, we were able to very quickly create drafts for these cards and started plugging in, well, this dinosaur is unique in this way. This dinosaur has an interesting claw, so we should talk about this here. And we'd be able to create these drafts quickly and think about it and reflect on it, revise and rework in an iterative process, which was probably where I really discovered and refined the iterative process that I was talking about on the last episode where I created my book and my AI story creator. And most likely over the course of this last year in creating these cards, this is where I learned how to do that and describe a little more deeply with each card what we were looking for. This enabled us to have a deck that was built out a lot faster than we could have done by simply writing it, and with a lot better organization and interest. And it allowed us more freedom to enjoy the process and be creative. So one of the ways that we added another layer of creativity and messaging into it is we created 4 elemental archetypes. The 4 elements, air, water, earth, and fire, appear in many different card decks and many different themes like this. And we added our own twist and message to each of these archetypes. Air represented dinosaurs that had intuition, creativity, quick thinking, or innovation. Water dinosaurs symbolized harmony, nurturing, and social dynamics to allow for growth. Earth was groundedness, patience, resilience, and defensiveness. And fire was channeling passion, energy, and often idiotory intensity, which added an extra layer of depth and message to these dinosaurs. It wasn't just the message themselves, but the element that they represented. And we started adding these dinosaurs to different elemental families and trying to balance out this deck. So the really fun part has been AI plowed the field in a sense. It gave us it took care of a lot of the hard work of upfront of getting everything written out and allowed us to get everything in a place that we could see it, we could engage with it, we could work with it. And though AI helped us get the basic meanings and messages down, it took a lot of time for us to edit and review and look for deeper meanings and search of the context between the different cards to figure out, are these unique enough? Is every message pointing in the direction that we want? Are we getting what we want out of these cards? All of these things were really important to bring in our own vision and our own creativity. And this is kind of the theme that I'll keep coming back to. And what I really want to drive home with artificial intelligence is it's not about telling the AI to just do the thing entirely for you. But if you can create the right parameters and know what its lane is to allow you to be creative, to be influential in it, you're going to do a lot better. And this will probably be coming out in early 2025. And if you would like a charming, lighthearted, perfect coffee table conversation piece to have better conversations with your friends, ask interesting and insightful reflective questions, or navigate the deep and rapid uncertainty of our time and your life, check out the Dinosaur Oracle Card deck. You can get on the wait list. Go to the storyengine.co/dino, and you can go to the storyengine.co/dino, and I'll put you on a wait list. And very soon I will create a chat bot that will give simulated readings of this deck that you can use as a preview to try it out yourself. I would love to hear what you think. So go to the storyengine.co/dino, and I'll keep you updated. Let me read a few of my favorite samples of oracle cards for you for the deck so you can know what to expect. The Dromaeosaurus, the little problem. The Dromaeosaurus is a small and intelligent raptor-like creature. Scientists initially believed that it was smooth-skinned, but further discoveries revealed that these creatures were completely covered in feathers. Though less famous than its relatives like the Utah raptor or the velociraptor, it was no less fearsome. Pound for pound, the Dromaeosaurus was one of the top predators of its time. Like a badger or a wolverine, it was feared by creatures several times its size, and unlike its relative, the velociraptor, The dinosaur had an extraordinarily strong jaw and likely used its teeth more than its claws to kill. The wear and tear on Dromaeosaurus's teeth implied that this dino munched on bone in addition to flesh. While only a small creature, the appearance of a Dromaeosaurus on the horizon was an indication that other animals respected and responded to quickly. You would only make the mistake thinking it was cute once. But when the Dromaeosaurus appears in reading, it's time to slow down and look around. Become aware of your situation. What are you underestimating right now? All right, let's move on to the next dinosaur. Probably the hardest part about this project was making sure that we pronounce all of these very complicated dinosaur names well. And it's still a work in progress, so I may butcher some of these, but we're getting better every day. So this next one is Sinosauropteryx, which is called the fresh start. The Sinosauropteryx, a small feathered dinosaur, lived during the early Cretaceous period, around 125 million years ago, what is now in China. The discovery of this dinosaur was groundbreaking in the scientific world, but its journey to fame wasn't so straightforward. Initially misclassified and later misunderstood in terms of its physical traits, the Sinosauropteryx was the subject of two major scientific revisions. Yet these corrections led to a remarkable breakthrough. It became the first dinosaur to have its color accurately identified, revealing that the Sinosauropteryx boasted stunning reddish tones and striped patterns. The Sinosauropteryx embodies the courage to start over and the wisdom to embrace failure as part of the journey. Just as scientists corrected their understanding of this dinosaur, you too can learn that mistakes pave the way for greater clarity and insight. Failure is not final. It's a stepping stone to something greater. And the Sinosauropteryx reminds you that even when things go awry, the act of beginning again with renewed focus can lead to extraordinary breakthroughs. All right, we'll do one more. The Carnotaurus, the bold innovator. The Carnotaurus was a peculiar-looking dinosaur with its distinctive horns and streamlined physique featuring unusually small arms and a short snout. This predator stands as a testament to the power of innovation. Scientists believe that the Carnotaurus' small arms were vestigial, evidence of the species' ability to change over time. Inhabiting the open plains of late Cretaceous South America, the Carnotaurus thrived in an environment that favored speed and the element of surprise. This setting was ideal for unique hunting strategies, allowing it to excel through boldness and innovation. When the Carnotaurus appears in reading, it's time to recognize what we have outgrown. This dynamic predator encourages us to remember that as we evolve, things that once helped us may no longer be useful. Channel the Carnotaurus by investigating your energy in endeavors that will serve you moving forward, rather than expending valuable time and resources on what belongs in the past. One of my favorite memories of really bringing together all of these different elements, even as the deck was not created yet, is we uploaded the writing for our cards into an artificial intelligence and gave it the instructions to be a card reader, a medium, and draw cards randomly, and then based on the questions we ask, give us insights and ideas. And I can remember gathering around a party with some of my closest friends and having somebody whose birthday it was, somebody who was moving away, each get to do a virtual drawing of the cards and get advice based on the deck that Matt and I had been creating. This was a really magical moment to have people engaging with an idea at a very early stage before we had it completely done or ready. And it showed us the power of what we were really making and doing. So what made this project special wasn't its subject matter. It was the process. It was fun to gather, chop some wood, have some late night discussions, and create a space for connection and creativity. Each of these cards became a mirror reflecting not only the wisdom of the dinosaurs, but on our own insights and challenges, and allowed us to share and serve. And with AI handling the grunt work, it allowed us the freedom to focus on the parts of the subject that really mattered most: building relationships, exploring ideas, and most importantly, having fun. And so even though it was technically a business endeavor, like I said, it never really felt like work. All right, on to the second creation, picturing the future. How I created an AI vision board to bring my dreams to life. Last week in Bend, Oregon, I'm gathered with many of my friends, Matt, who I mentioned, and a few others. Now, usually these meetings are filled with energy, people sharing victories, challenges, and ideas. This time, something was a little bit different. Everyone was focused, typing away, working to articulate as much detail as possible on the vision that they wanted to create. The idea had come to me a few years earlier at the close of this year, and I felt a yearning and a desire to create some clarity, to create some focus, to picture a future that I believed in and I was excited for. And I asked myself the question, after using AI so much, is what if I used AI generated images to craft vision boards? One thing that I do often that has been a kind of a foundation of what became this process is I have a journal called a spell book where I write out the futures that I want to create in as much detail as possible. And this technique applied to creating AI generated image would make what started as abstract goals or written affirmations and create vivid, detailed pictures of the life that I wanted to manifest. I proposed this idea to the group and everybody was ready to dive in. Everybody was excited to use these new tools to bring our dreams to life. One of the things that makes AI image creation so powerful is that truly your only limit is your imagination. Whatever you can think of, whatever you can try, there's no physical limitations anymore. There's no what if it can't be done, what if I can't picture it. If you can describe it, you can create it. And I think this is an excellent muscle to work that we haven't had the same opportunity to do so, to know limitations on the questions we can ask or the things that we want to create. And I think there's something really powerful to be explored in here. And so we began crafting our vision boards, weaving together physical, metaphorical, symbolic images to create the futures we wanted to create. For me, obviously, this process was deeply personal, and the images reflected the life that I dreamed of. I saw a picture of me gathered around a table with some respected and powerful thought leaders, having my mastermind, helping and serving people in beautiful locations, sharing stories and sharing victories of how we created things together. I had many different images of me being physically strong, in control of my health, in nature, on the mountains, with a daily routine that kept me grounded and energized. I also had symbolic representations of inner peace, a sense of purpose, an alignment with the universe that drive me forward. I also pictured creative spaces, offices that were filled with bonsai trees and places for me to write, musical instruments and guitars and studios set up with lots of decorations and natural light. And of course, images of me speaking on stages in front of live audiences, traveling to new places, and writing down magic in my journal, my spell book for crafting the future. Picturing a partner that I was on adventures with, having a great time and sharing even more visions for the future together. Each picture became a manifestation of what I wanted to live and experience in 2025. And one of the most fascinating aspects of having everybody going together through this process and seeing what everyone discovered is that everyone had a slightly different approach and a slightly different result. For me, I was creating these images one idea at a time and then piecing in a collage using Canva. which allowed me to focus on it one piece at a time, one idea at a time. A cabin in the mountains, a badass Toyota Tacoma, and with an amazing camping view over some mountains. Some of my friends took a more holistic route, describing their entire vision in intricate detail and allowing the AI to create an entire vision board and making its own collage. And so there were different images mixed together and set up with sacred geometry. It was actually really incredible and cool to see how it could make an entire vision board and combine many different ideas and represent them in a really beautiful and articulate way. Seeing everyone's unique vision boards was inspiring, and each one of us was able to glean ideas from each other and help us both get better ideas for what visions we wanted to create, how we wanted to create those visions, and how we could use AI to help us. And now I have this vision board as the backgrounds for my laptop and my creations. I want to continuously look back to this, update it, and remind myself of the future that's possible. And I think what better tool to bring in the future than AI. And finally, the third one that I'm going to share about is creating an AI therapist. Now, I say this in quotes because I think that having a human therapist, and I do, is a very important and essential thing. But sometimes when life feels overwhelming, when emotions swirl around too fast to make sense of them, and I have my fair share of these kind of moments, and I found that often in these times, what I need most isn't advice or solutions or things to do, but a safe space to really talk things through, reflect, and process. I find just by talking about what's happening instead of having it just boiling inside of me can be really helpful. And so finding that space in the moment, whether it's a friend or a therapist or even just through stillness, can be a challenge. And I don't want to necessarily, when I'm feeling these things, interrupt somebody else's work day or try to get somebody else's attention. And I'll admit that sometimes just talking about my problems to somebody else feels kind of boring and frustrating, and I don't want to dump them on anyone else. And that's when I started experimenting with AI, wondering, could it hold a space for me? Could it help me articulate what I was feeling and reflect it back in a way that fostered clarity and self-compassion? So I began to train ChatGPT as a conversational partner. It wasn't to create a therapist in a traditional sense to offer diagnoses or advice, but I wanted space to speak freely and just say what exactly was on my mind whenever it was, and just get it out. Now, early on, it would try to offer suggestions. It would tell me what to do. It would give me big lists of things. And I started saying, hey, oftentimes I don't need these solutions. I just need more questions. I need more insights. I need to dig deeper into this. And over time, describing what I needed, it would start to get better at this. It would ask me questions and allow me to explore my feelings through metaphors, through creative exercises. Some of the things like creating conversations with what my inner child could be needing or thinking or experiencing based on what I was going through, or writing myself a letter from myself 5 years into the future. And what advice would I give myself? What would I be grateful for in that time for myself? And the letters and the messages that come through in these things are meaningful and powerful and based in some of the deepest things that I have to share. And so training the AI to prioritize understanding instead of answers and creating responses that were empathetically driven and opening up for more ideas and discussions that became much more meaningful than offering quick fixes. And these open-ended questions would allow me to make sense of my own feelings in a way that I would always have access to within just arm's reach. This shift transformed the experience from trying to solve problems or distance myself to becoming a guide for introspection and growth. Another thing that's really powerful about this is AI's ability to spot patterns with bigger bands of information than we may not have to on our own. And some of the most interesting things have come from asking questions like, what are the patterns that you see that I may not see within this? What's something that you know about me that I probably don't know about myself? Or back to something like the vision boards, what is a picture that you think my life looks like, or what I would want my life to look like based on all of the conversations that we've had? So the beautiful thing about this is that AI became more insightful over time. Having many different conversations in the same chat would start to recognize these recurring themes and struggles and hopes and be able to give me more personalized reflections and creating a sense of continuity. So, though it's not human, it works as a mirror to myself. AI had an ability to hold context that made it like a true partner in my journey, and one that's continuously listening and adapting and growing alongside me. The magic wasn't in trying to seek answers from the AI, but in allowing it to create a space for me to explore and find the answers in myself. By handling the role of active listener and gentle guide, it allowed me to speak my emotions without fear of judgment, and to reflect and clarify these feelings in real time, and of course experiment with creative exercises that deepen my awareness. This wasn't about replacing human connection or therapy, but having an accessible tool that could support me in moments when I needed it most. So working with AI in this way has been incredibly powerful. It's taught me to slow down, articulate my feelings, and give myself permission to process. The AI doesn't need to solve my problems, but simply provide the space and prompts that I need to navigate them myself. So as we look back on the stories from this episode, from crafting a Dinosaur Oracle Card deck to building AI vision boards and discovering an AI therapist, a common thread emerges: the blending of imagination, connection, and technology to create tools that serve us deeply in these meaningful ways. And each of these projects started with a desire to explore something greater. What makes these stories special isn't the technology itself. It's how it facilitates what truly matters: connection, creativity, and self-expression. AI didn't replace any human intuition, relationships, or imagine, but instead acted like a collaborator, freeing us from the repetitive tasks and creating a space for the deeper work of dreaming, reflecting, and growing. And so as we navigate the future of AI, I hope that you'll see that the real power of this technology lies in its ability to amplify our humanity. Whether it's creating tools for self-reflection, visualizing the wildest dreams, or deepening connections with ourselves and others, AI is a partner in creating a more intentional and inspired life. So I'd like to leave you with this question. How have you been inspired to use AI to create something meaningful just for you? Whether it's a creative project, it's a tool for your personal growth, or a way to imagine the future that you want to build, the possibilities are as limitless as your imagination, and I invite you to dive in. And if you would like to get your hands on my AI Authority Story Creator bot, go to the storyengine.co/create. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. And thanks so much, and we will see you on the next Story Engine podcast.